Baltimore City Board of Estimates Taxpayers Night. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Taxpayers Night provides the public with an opportunity to comment on the preliminary budget for fiscal year 2020 that was recommended to the Board of Estimates by the Department of Finance on March 27th. As you may have seen coming in, the Budget Office is hosting its annual budget pop-up in the lobby. Representatives from city agencies and partner organizations are here to represent and discuss the investments proposed in each of the mayor's 5 pillars. I encourage you to stop by and learn more about the fiscal 2020 budget. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the Board of Estimates. Starting on my left, we have Mayor Young and City Solicitor Andre Davis. To my immediate right, we have the City Comptroller Joan Pratt, then the DPW Director Rudy Child, and Director of Finance Henry Raymond. And also myself, Vice President and Council Member Sharon Green Middleton of the 6th District. Also, we have the Director of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research, Bob Senemy. I would also like to recognize some of the elected officials we have in attendance. We have Fire Chief Ford in the back there, and also Commissioner Harrison in the back. Raise your hand. We also have Councilman Stokes, Councilman Dorsey, Councilman Cohen, Councilman Costello, Councilman Scott, and Councilman Slicer. Okay, the preliminary fiscal year 2020 operating budget has been recommended at $2.9 billion. This is an increase of $93.6 million, or 3.3% above the fiscal year 2019 adopted budget. The capital plan is recommended at $634 million, which is $46.7 million, or 6.9% lower than fiscal year 2019. The members of the Board of Estimates are very interested in listening to your views and observations concerning this budget. This is our opportunity as the board to hear from our Baltimore City residents. This is your opportunity as city residents to share your thoughts regarding city spending, budget priorities, and other fiscal concerns. Since we are here to listen, we do not intend to enter into dialogue with you as you speak, but may ask you to clarify a point. Anyone wishing to address the board must sign up to do so. Sign-up sheets are located at the table at the entrance of the lobby, and I think we have these all the sign-in sheets. Each time I announce the name of the next speaker, I will identify the next person so you can be prepared to come up to the microphone. Your time cannot be yielded to another speaker. Time will be kept by the Budget Director, Mr. Senemy. Mr. Senemy, over here to the right, okay? He will alert you when you have 30 seconds left by holding up the yellow pad. At that time, you should start bringing your remarks to a close. Mr. Senemy will also alert you when your time is out by holding up a red paddle. Now let's begin. Will the first speaker, Shorty, followed by Onyine of Communities United, please come up to the microphone.
Mike check! All right, I'm here to discuss your, I guess you call your policing in your Department of State's Attorney's Office. On February the 2nd, 2011, I was kidnapped by the state of Maryland for exposing the corruption and racism in Baltimore City Council and Baltimore City delegations. I was exposing the racism and the corruption pertaining to stop and frisk and zero tolerance that Governor O'Malley put in place. I exposed the mime machine. On that table outside is what I did on February the 2nd, 2011. 5 days after I turned y'all in to the city solicitor and Commissioner Belfield and State Attorney Bernstein, I was locked up and charged with terrorism. Now I'm here tonight, I handed y'all some papers. I got the Department of Justice to say that I got Johnny Oleski to ask the Department of Justice to come investigate my illegal incarceration in 2011. So each one of you council members, your controllers, I asked for federal and state audit. I'm out $2.6 million, and the state participated in that fraud and that function. So when y'all see me out, I've been mic checking y'all. I've been dealing with y'all. I've been making a movie about y'all for the last 12 years, and it's called Letters to Zion. You can Google it. Ain't no law against making a movie about your politics. It is a law against by what you did to me. It's called Jim Crow justice and white supremacy. You feel me? You lock up blacks, Hispanics, and poor whites in Baltimore City and Baltimore County to fill your prison industry. You have a contract with the prison industry in the state of Maryland. It's tied to your investment portfolio. Y'all get paid to lock black people up in Baltimore. That stop and frisk and zero tolerance was a prime example of it. Now you got the Department of Justice investigating y'all, holding you over for the dissent decree. Well, we need to reimburse those people that you locked up illegally and give them their money, because you took taxpayers and you locked taxpayers up. I was one of them. I paid over $30,000 a year in taxes. I own my own business. I'm self-employed. I'm self-made. I'm shorty. I own shorties. So now I want you to do something about it. I gave Jack Young some paperwork. He looked at that paperwork. Real legit, ain't it, Jack? Real legit, ain't it, Jack? Yeah. I want the Department of Justice to open them doors. We're gonna open up doors. You want Mayor Pugh in jail? I want 52 of you in jail. I want 52 of y'all in jail. Whoever has something to do with locking me up, dog, I'm coming for you. Red light, dog, I'm gonna take another 2 minutes just cause I can. Mic check! Mic check! Remember that.
Hello, my name is Oninya Alheri. I live in Upton. I'm here to talk about the policing aspect of this budget and how's that?
Yes,
Great.
good.
I'm here to say that the budget is spending too much on policing. I can give some numbers. I'm gonna keep it brief. I just wanna give some numbers. 2010, the policing budget, $317 million. Murder rate, 223. 2019, policing budget, 527 proposed for this year. Murder rate last year, 343. Tell me how that makes sense. The murder rate increases, and you want to keep spending on policing when obviously that method is not working. I just want an answer. I know you can't respond, but that's where I'm coming from. And I think looking at how little is being spent on schools, public works, and housing, it's ridiculous. If you want to address crime, that is where you start, not with the police.
The next two from Community United, and please bear with me because I'm trying to understand your writing. Gasset Goba. Gasso Goba. And behind Gasso Goba is Shannon Wilson. Both of you, please come up, be ready when your name is called. We want to keep it moving.
Hi, y'all. Good evening, members of the board and community members. My name is Gasso Goba, and I'm a volunteer with Sex Workers Outreach Project, along with Communities United here in Baltimore City. Before I knew of Fannie Lou Hamer, I was already tired of being sick and tired. When I look at the preliminary budget plan for 2020, I can't help but feel immense confusion, sadness, and rage. Yet again, the Baltimore City Police and Sheriff's Department is being appropriated a significant percentage of the general fund, 26.2 to be exact. Those of us who have been impacted by police and state violence know that increased policing and incarceration does not address the root causes of crime and deteriorating quality of life here in Baltimore City. It is sickening that departments dedicated to employment, human services, youth violence prevention, substance use disorder, mental health, and housing are appropriated pennies on the dollar for every dollar given to BPD. For the last couple of months, I have been saying that no one came into this world woke, and no one came into this world wanting to live a life of crime. There are micro, meso, and macro factors in play. Just imagine what would happen if we put more money into the aforementioned underfunded departments. Baltimore City would be on the road to correcting decades of negligence to the hearts, minds, and bodies of our underserved communities. Take, for example, Sandtown, Winchester. This community is facing extraordinary challenges around education, educational attainment, housing, and addiction. Just imagine how much healthier residents in Sandtown and similar neighborhoods would be if we started divesting from policing and started investing in alternatives that seek to bring equity to all. We have an opportunity to be intentional and envision a new Baltimore City, a city where everyone is afforded the equity to survive well and thrive. The road there may be uncomfortable, but we who are suffering right now know that it is necessary. Thank you.
Hello, I'm a senior at Frederick Douglass High School. Thank you. And I just wanted to talk to you. Shannon Wilson, I'm here from Frederick Douglass High School, a senior, and I just wanted to talk about the education aspect of it. And I feel like personally that we should spend more money on education and teachers who look more like me and can relate to me, and like, you know, I can relate to you and understand well. And you know, I would also like more mentors in the school, you know, for me and my peers, because you know we don't really have a lot. And especially coming from a school like Douglass, where you know it's talked down bad on a lot more than it should be. And I feel like more money should be put into the buildings, because last school year at Frederick Douglass High School, a pipe burst and put the entire basement underwater. We've been having several acts of violence at the school. I'm pretty sure you all guys know this school year we've had a shooting, traumatized almost the entire school population. And I feel like we need more guidance and not just people who are there for work. And that's my time.
Thank you. The next two, Rafiki Morris and then Dean Dotson, both with Community United.
Good afternoon. My name is Rafiki Morris. I'm a resident of Franklin Square community and an organizer for Communities United. If you guys would look in front of you, you will see a spreadsheet. It's really a PowerPoint program that outlines some of the findings that we have. I won't go through all of it, but the information is there for you. At Communities United, we've gone through this budget. And we compared it with last year's budget, and we compared it with the needs of the citizens and the communities that we serve. In our comparison of this budget with last year's budget, we find that with a few minor exceptions, they're very much alike. We also find that they're very much alike the budgets of cities all over this country and this city for the last 30 years that were designed to incarcerate us for being who we are. We find that this is unpardonable at this stage. 30 years after the war on drugs has been proven not to be a successful approach to resolving the contradictions in our community, this now brings us a new war on drugs budget. This has to stop. If you look in our spreadsheet on page 1, you will see that for every $1 in this budget that is spent on policing, 1 cent is spent on the opioid crisis that is ravaging our community. 1 penny to the dollar. We think the budget is a moral document. We think it tells us what you value and what your values are. Normal citizens understand budgets as a moral document. They have to choose, do I feed the baby or pay the cable bill? It's a moral decision to make. And when you have to make these moral decisions, we want you to know that when you get it wrong, there are consequences, because you're watching cable and the baby is starving. This budget has the same kind of problems. We would like to see these problems addressed. These issues, these priorities are not the priorities of our community. And we think that if you can't adjust the budget, you should reject it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mr. Dodson. In addition to being a Baltimore resident for 64 years, I'm also a member of 1199 SEIU and a part of Community United. We demand you reject this proposed budget. We ask that you use common sense to reconsider improving this budget. For instance, 311 was a common sense solution to a major problem in our city. I've seen this city go from a once vibrant city to the state of emergency that we are in now. How did this happen? And then it hit me. Our elected officials let this happen. You should be ashamed of yourselves, taking the citizens of Baltimore money and putting it into policing. We should rename our city from Baltimore City to Pothole City. Shame on you all. After reviewing the fiscal year 2020 budget, I'm very disappointed to see a budget that says that Baltimore values policing, incarceration, and criminalization more than anything else. In the proposed budget, for every dollar we spend on policing, we spend 15 cents on the Department of Housing and Community Development. That's messed up. Year after year, we increase the police budget. But each year, crime just gets worse. It's like throwing gasoline on fire. We all know what the main issue in our city is, and it's drugs. We need to aggressively address our housing crisis, starting by addressing vacant buildings. We should work on blocks that have multiple vacant homes, repair and renovate them one by one, and put them on the market as affordable homing for purchase. Home ownership has proven to improve economic outcome. It creates wealth accumulation, but it also contributes to economic growth and job creation. Additionally, children of homeowners do better in school, and communities with more homeowners have more civil engagement, better health outcomes, and reduction in crime rates. We must provide opportunity for accessible and sustainable pathways to home ownership. If we divest 25% of the police budget and invest it into the creation of pathway to home ownership, it would address crime in Baltimore City in ways that policing alone will never. I do not support this proposed 2020 budget. I demand you take advantage of the unique political situation we find ourselves in and reconsider this budget and what it says about our value as a city. This budget does not reflect my value as a city resident. Personally, it was up to me. Anybody in this office that has more than 15 years of service would be fired.
Rhonda Elsie with Community United and Marvin Hayes with Baltimore Compost Collective.
Good evening. My name is Marvin Hayes, and I'm Mr. Compost. Around is a terrible thing to waste. I'm the program manager for the Baltimore Compost Collective. We are a youth-led food scrap collection service that serve the pioneers for composting of Baltimore City communities, Curtis Bay, Brooklyn, Federal Hill, Riverside, and Locust Point. We are currently collecting food scraps and bringing them back to the Filbert Street Garden, the Wakanda of South Baltimore, where we are making Filbert Street leaf gold. We're currently diverting 8 tons of food scraps from going into the incinerators and the landfills. 50% of Baltimore City municipal trash can be composted. We are currently paying $10 million to Bresco to burn trash, and we're only putting $80,000 into recycling. So I'm asking for $10 million to be put towards recycling. I have a campaign. Let's compost, let's learn so we don't have to burn. Let's start the incinerator, feed the soil, feed the community. Let's shut down the incinerators and not gardens. Let's create green jobs. Let's take taxpayers' green money and create green infrastructure and green jobs. I am also a resident of Sandtown, Winchester, and without being educated, I would not be doing vermiculture, which is worm composting, in my basement. Speaking of Sandtown, Winchester, I'm hoping that we take this money and shut down one of the largest open-air drug markets at Pennsylvania and North Avenue, and that we give money for Lillian Jones to have a new recreation center, state-of-the-art, Filbert Street Garden forever. Thank you for your time.
Melanie Thomas, are you there? And behind her, Tori Grace, Youth is Resources.
Mercury, lead, and NOx pollution are all prevalent in our community, and we live the consequences each year. The Brasco trash burning incinerator is the city's worst air polluter, costing us $55 million every year in health-related damages. You just heard Mr. Hayes say that we pay $10 million to burn our trash, and it's costing us $55 million each year in health-related damages. This incinerator is propped up by public subsidies and public resources reflected in our city budget that relegate communities like mine in South Baltimore as a dumping ground. On top of the air pollution, Curtis Bay has no grocery store for miles, has hundreds of vacants that pile up with illegal dumping, and residential roads clogged with diesel truck traffic spewing fumes. But at the same time, Curtis Bay, and more specifically our Filbert Street Garden, is a hub for an alternative vision, a zero waste vision, that is calling for a new set of public policies and new way of spending public resources centered on our health, our basic needs, and our needs for our planet to survive. It is the hub of a zero-waste future. The Filbert Street Garden is one of the largest volunteer-run community gardens in the city of Baltimore and has been selected as a pilot for a food waste diversion program because of the rapidly growing youth-led Baltimore Compost Collective program that is housed in our garden. I am Melanie Thomas, a resident of Curtis Bay, a member of the South Baltimore Community Land Trust, a youth and community advocate, and a volunteer for the Filbert Street Garden. Today, I'm here to tell everyone that our garden and our vision for a zero-waste future is under threat. Our city Department of Public Works, whose vision is to be a strong proponent and protector of our environment and the health and the vitality of our communities, is considering displacing and destroying the Filbert Street Garden. We are here tonight to say loud and clear that we cannot let this happen. We are here to make a plea for land acquisition, policies to support zero-waste businesses and communities, and allocation of resources to keep these sanctuaries, such as the Filbert Street Garden, in our communities, growing stronger. Displacement of positive infrastructures should not be a thing, period. Displacement of positive infrastructures should not be a thing. This acre of land is home to ducks, chickens, bees, bats, and goats. In addition, 40 plot owners, they're able to grow fresh fruits and vegetables. DPW, we're asking you today, Director Chow, will you commit to saving the garden and not displacing our garden and our future?
Thank you. Then we have Tori Grace with Youth is Resources, but before she begins, I also want to recognize that came in Councilman Henry somewhere. He's in the back. Okay. And behind Tori Grace should be Terrell Askew with United Workers.
Hi, my name is Tori Grace. I'm here with Youth as Resources. I'm the chair of the board of directors, and what we do is we're a grant-making, leadership, and organizing development organization. And a portion of our board is paid, which is called task force. Okay, a portion of our board is paid, which is called task force, and they do most of our work. But we are here in support of CLEA's proposal for year-round youth works. And the reason I think this is important is because some young people have to work to take care of themselves and their families. And this is really one of the reasons why we have a paid portion of our board. In employment such as YAR, CLEA, and the algebra project, you get to learn real life skills instead of like flipping burgers and not really getting to like learn stuff that you're gonna do in the real world. And most jobs don't hire young people, so they're basically in competition with adults that already have experience and have a flexible work schedule. So that's why year-round youth works will be good. Also, every year, we hire, during the summer we're able to hire more young people because of youth works, but during the school year we're not able to hire as many young people because we're not sure if we're gonna get that money or if we're gonna have enough to, we're not sure how many people we're gonna be able to hire, how much we're gonna pay them, etc. So that's why I think it's important also to keep young people off the streets. Jobs will be good because they need a reason to be off the streets. Thank you.
Terrell, ask you.
I'm going to begin by rewinding back a little bit. A fellow organizer of mine, advocate Melanie, asked Director Chow a question. We have 2 minutes, so I'm gonna graciously allow you a minute to answer that question. Will you stand for the garden?
We're not, remember, we're not here to answer the question.
How dare you? You work for us, you should answer.
The rules were given at the beginning of the meeting.
You are here to answer our question and to have dialogue. So we're now giving you the chance to answer this question, child. So answer the question. Thank you.
37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60.
Since you didn't answer that question, I know you're not going to answer mine. In 2016, we worked to actually get an affordable housing trust fund to create permanent affordability in this city. A gentleman earlier mentioned vacancies as a problem, and we came up with a solution to try to solve that. Now I know that my answer is in the budget, and that you all have mouths, but you're not going to talk. But I just want to say, transparency and accountability are not just words in a dictionary. They're supposed to be values that you uphold. It's called human rights principles. You guys should get you some.
Next person. Dean, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Dean DeSasson of Community United. And behind her, Stephanie Murdoch of the Skate Park of Baltimore. Is Dean here? Let's move on with Stephanie Murdoch of the Skate Park of Baltimore. And behind her, Sharon Hunt of the Charm City Land Trust Baltimore Housing Roundtable.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stephanie Murdoch, and I'm the president of the Skate Park of Baltimore, a 501c3 volunteer-based nonprofit dedicated to building public concrete skate parks here in the city of Baltimore. And I'm here tonight, as is my annual Taxpayers Night tradition, to plea for the Department of Recreation and Parks. You know, we spent just as much on police overtime last year as the entire budget for the Baltimore City Department of Recreation and Parks. We should be front-loading our efforts to save our young people and save our city, not back-loading. It's not just about services for young people. It's about spaces. It's not just about programs. It's about places. You know, every year on Taxpayers Night, I'm like, man, I really want to go to the skate park today. But I keep coming back year after year saying the same exact thing because the budget is the same exact small budget every year. We need to put the resources into our city agencies that directly touch our young people. Skateboarding is going to be in the Olympics in 2020. How are we going to get a kid on a Wheaties box if we don't have the facilities necessary for them to perfect their craft? You know what? I think there's more people here tonight than there were at the Orioles game last night. And you know why? It's because we care about our city. We're here to save our city. In 2014, I was the only person at Taxpayers Night. And look at this group tonight. It's just a beautiful thing. Thank you. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you all for coming out.
You've heard about the tremendous work that's being done by the Filbert Street community, by Curtis Bay Land Trust. My name is Sharon Hunt. I am from the Charm City Land Trust, which basically operates in McElderry Park. We have a recycle, open program of land, and we are confident that whatever we do will not be taken away from us from that land because we own the land. That is the same thing we want to happen for our sisters and brothers on Filbert Street. We want them to own the land. It is being used for something good, for something wonderful. It gives back to the community, and it should never be even considered to be taken away. At the same time, we've looked at the budget, and we see that the budget looks familiar. You have stated in there that you are committed to waste removal and for recycling and for clean air, but there's no money in there to do this. You've identified that Baltimore has one of the worst air qualities in the country, in the city, well, in the country probably, and also you passed the Clean Air Act. But there's no money. You have the same money as last year, and you're still paying police. So you cannot buy your way out of this with the police. It will not work. It hasn't worked. We're asking for you to divert money to community services that do work. So please, put money into the budget for recycling. We could send 80% into compost away from that filthy thing that poisons the air. And we also could do many, many, many good things for people that live in food deserts. So instead of just having money in the same old places, but saying you're going to do better, it's nice to say you're going to do better, but put the money there, please.
Erica Richardson of CIIA and Maria Henson of CIIA.
Excuse me 1 second. Okay.
Erica Richardson?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to exercise my civic engagement and make my Baltimore better. My name is Erica Richardson, and I'm a youth advocate for CILA, Community Law in Action. Over the summer, my colleagues and I worked to create our hashtag Be More Invested campaign. This pushes for youth in Baltimore City to be given the opportunity of jobs year-long within the current Summer Youth Works Jobs program. However, due to the negative perspective, youth aren't given the chance to gain the experience of having a real-life job in Baltimore City. It's not considered how they are able to gain effective skills such as accountability, time management, flexible hours, and many more. It's no secret that our city is having a tough time right now. We shouldn't lose focus to the issues that matter the most. Our young people, my peers, are surviving and not living. Our young people are being taught with old systems and practices that are not working. It's time we approach our city's unique challenges with unique solutions. Investing in youth employment helps move young people out of Baltimore, their families out of poverty, and that was so wrong, I'm sorry. Young people out of poverty, their families out of poverty, and their neighborhoods out of poverty. Too many conversations are focused on things that don't matter. Young people matter, their futures matter. It's time for our city's values and priorities to reflect the ideas of valuing young people. Please be more invested in the future of Baltimore youth.
Good afternoon, my name is Maria Henson and I work for CLEA. I would just like to say that as a youth here in Baltimore City, to have year-long youth work jobs will keep us occupied away from violence, drugs, and off the streets. Also, having these jobs will motivate teens in the area of money management, self-independence, and also motivate teens to be a leader for peers and siblings that may look up to them. Other things that youth will be exposed to work fields and have better experience at understanding life after graduation. They will have the experience on their resumes to those jobs that they really want, and also they will be prepared for those jobs in the future due to the training from YouthWorks. People often say our generation is the future. Why not give us the opportunity to show the skills that we have? We have a lot more things to offer than our elders may think. Put your money where your mouth is. # be more invested.
Did we have Maria Henderson? Okay, Kayla Robinson of CLLIA. Maria Henson? She went over. Okay, so you're Kayla? Okay, Robinson. And then behind her, we'll have Malik Jones with CLIA, and then Aya Damons of CLIA.
I'm Kayla Robinson. I'm here tonight to represent Youth as Resources, and I'm also a part of CLEA. I do want to speak on extending YouthWorks jobs to be year-long. The reason I think year-long YouthWorks jobs are necessary is because it can make a change with keeping youth off the streets and to keep them away from using drugs and being around violence. Also, it will help them save and budget money and help them learn how to be responsible, because we have a lot of youth who are responsible for taking care of their families. So giving them year-long jobs will help with personal responsibilities. Another reason is to allow them to be comfortable in the working field so that they know what it's like to be in a professional working environment, and for them to build on their character and feel comfortable around other people. Lastly, to let them feel like they have a chance at life, because youth often feel discouraged and feel like they can't make it. So this will help them thrive and achieve their goals. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Malik Jones, and I'm an advocate with CLEA. And I'm here this evening in support of CLEA's Be More Invested campaign for year-long youth jobs and why our city needs to invest in young people now. Giving a young person a job is not just about giving them money. It's about empowering young people and working in their best interests. It's time for us to stop finger-pointing and put actions to the promises that our elected and public officials make. The equation is simple. Young people plus investment equals better Baltimore for everyone. My message is to the Board of Estimates, both our mayors, the City Council, and the agencies across the city. It's time to be more invested in Baltimore's youth.
Aya Damons. Aya. And then after Aya, Jock Thompson of the Office of Councilman Z. Cohen.
Damons, Baltimore Safe Haven. Hi, I work prevention in the community, LGBTQ. We need help. There's no one helping us. We need help.
Tiffany McGee, the director of Baltimore Safe Haven. Tiffany McGee, Baltimore Safe Haven. We've been here for 6 months. We have not got no assistance from nobody. We have been doing everything off our back. Outreach on the street, we have been doing it. I work a full-time job. My check goes to Baltimore Safe Haven. The city hasn't gave us nothing. We need some help from somebody.
Thank you, guys.
Hello, my name is John Thompson, and I am from Councilman Z. Cohen's office. First off, I want to say that Councilman Z. Cohen has already passed a resolution to support the expansion of YouthWorks, so he's already in support of that. But I want to talk from my personal perspective as well. I think that we need to not deal with only parts of the issue in terms of youth and reducing violence. It's not just education, it's not just recreation, it's all of these things together. We're looking at youth jobs. I support youth jobs because, I'll give a personal example. When I was in 11th grade, I was given the opportunity to intern at Johns Hopkins. Now this experience taught me lab skills. I was able to do college level research. I was able to actually talk to medical professionals and gain experience in a field that I was interested in. Now, that's not my path. I'm not going to be a doctor. But for a student in Baltimore City who wants to be a doctor but cannot receive that type of job or that type of experience, well, they're severely at a disadvantage. We need to help our students by giving them these experiences, by giving them a leg up on other cities, by making sure that our students are prepared not only with their education, not only safe in their neighborhoods, but also they have the skills in order to succeed in the everyday working world. Thank you.
I hope y'all hear us.
Lynette Dill or Hill from the Tenant Council of Latrobe, and Matt Hood. Either one, are you here? Is that to Neil? Lynette Hill, okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lynette Hill. I am the president of the Tenant Council of Latrobe Homes. I am the president of the youth in my community. I didn't have anything written down or planned because this was last minute. I didn't even know about this, but I thought I'd come and take a shot because he matters and all my kids and my community. They matter to me. I do selfless work. I have no monies, but because of these kids, I'm willing to go in my pocket and do whatever just to keep them in a safe environment, just to allow them to see they don't have to become a product of their environment. This is my junior secretary, my youth kid. This is Latrell. I try to have these kids see what people fight for them. I don't want him to be let down. We need a budget for the tenant council. We're not asking for much, just to get some little things they need to keep in our communities so they don't have to always watch the negative stuff in our community. These are good kids, good grades. Even the ones that don't have good grades, they're working towards getting better with the mentors. I need people, I dream for the day that they bring recreation centers back like I had. Thank you, God. Because when I was young, that's how my mother, that was her help. Yeah, they were really our babysitter. I learned how to sew, tap dance, all those things at a free rec. And for the kids, I would like to see that for these kids. I just need a little budget, if you can consider the tenant councils of the housing authority, so we can pay for the people to come from these colleges and help us out and help our kids with some things like the dance and all that stuff. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Matt Hood. And behind Matt, Katrina Odom of the Wilson Park Northern Neighborhood Association.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Matt Hood. I'm just here to comment, like many others, the budget is really police heavy, and we've tried this for years and it hasn't worked. To give you, the only thing that this excessive investing in policing has done is the solicitor can note, it's probably going to bankrupt the city. Once the GTTF trials get done, and everybody harmed by people like Wayne Jenkins and other poorly supervised units are bailed, made whole, the city's looking at financial ruin. And again, the policing doesn't work. We give BPD $500 million a year. What do? Some guy from the county storms Mayor Pugh, or soon to be former Mayor Pugh's office, demands something done about squeegee kids. They go, they put a unit to camp out on Lombard and President Street. And what happens? They chase the squeegee kids away, but they're completely ineffective at, deterring crime, because a month ago I was carjacked a block away. Squeegee kid detail is completely ineffective. Didn't make anybody safer, but again, if you give the department money, they're going to spend it. And again, it hasn't worked. How many years are we going to give BPD $500 million before we sit there and say, this is not working? This is, dysfunctional. I'm asking rhetorically, I know you're not going to respond. On the other hand, I'm also a public historian, and I can tell you, if you go down to Lombard and Exeter, there's a place called the Carroll Mansion. In the 1930s, it was a rec center. Why was it a rec center? Because everybody knew back then, if you put a rec center together, and you bring kids together, and supervise them, crime goes down. It was common sense. It was, city government installed the rec center there. They brought the kids in. Lots of famous people came through there. Thomas D'Alessandro will tell you it worked. Why? Because he was a rec center kid. Nancy Pelosi, his sister, went to the rec center. And what happened to her? She became speaker. Kid Chiparelli's restaurant. Dominic Vaccaro, any Sunday, go down to his coffee shop, he holds court, he'll tell you how great it is, how the rec center made life better, and, just listen to him. He's a smart guy. He's made a lot of money. Anyway, my time's up, so I'm going to cut it short.
Thank you. And Katrina Odom. And behind Katrina, Dante Swinson with the Energy Justice Network.
Good evening. My name is Katrina Odom. I am the Secretary for the Wilson Park Northern Neighbors Association. Walter P. Carter Elementary Middle School number 31, the local elementary school in our neighborhood, is going through the 21st Century School Buildings Plan. That plan has as two of its goals, they're doing a rebuild. In the new campus, there will be 3 schools, Guilford Elementary, Walter P. Carter, and Lois T. Murray, which is a level 5 school. Those schools are being rebuilt to inspire learning and support the educational successes of the students, and to design a school that allows for the recreational opportunities for the community combined with other cooperative uses, according to the 21st Century Schools website. However, the recreation center has been demolished already this school year, while the students at Walter P. Carter are still in session. At the new school, there will be up to 3,000 square feet of community partner space, a significant downgrade from what used to be 8,000 square feet of recreation space. The community shared space, of course, will be limited in that the community will not have access to the space as they did at the recreation center. we at the Wilson Park Northern Neighborhood Association did try to raise what was budgeted as $6 million needed to build a new recreation center. We were not successful in that effort. A bit over 40 years ago, the communities of Govans and Northwood came together to participate in the St. George's Charrette. At that charrette, we attempted to have a separate standalone recreation center that was vetoed by Baltimore City. And here we are yet again with fiscal restraints. And now at Taxpayers Night 2019, we're asking that a separate recreation center, again, be provided. That will at least provide an area for programming that Wilson Park Northern, our residents and stakeholders have tried to consistently maintain since I was a child. I'm now a wife, a mother, and a grandmother who pays taxes in the neighborhood where I live. My husband and I stayed in Baltimore City when we could have moved our family away. So, as many people have already said, recreation is a key and important factor. Hopefully, there will be some money set aside for it. Thank you for your time.
Dante Swinton, Energy Justice Network. Is he still? Okay, and behind him is Christina Flowers with the Real Care Providers and a homeless advocate.
Thank you. Okay, over the last 2 years, we've spent $1 billion on policing. $1 billion, that's some 26% of the budget each year. In 2017, we spent $772 per person on policing. That was more per person than any city in the country that year. But what do we have to show for it? 300 plus homicides annually, hundreds of non-fatal shootings, robberies, children being denigrated and hit and criminalized for trying to make ends meet. But this is not a call for more money to policing, no. It's a call for real solutions. For example, the city should slash the police budget by at least 25% and spend that $125 million on direct reinvestment into communities every year. Truly affordable housing, green space, small business loans, co-op grocery stores, mental health facilities, rec centers, bike lanes, longer library hours, gun buybacks, zero waste infrastructure, and hiring community residents and living at a living wage to fill those jobs that are needed to make this happen. Indeed, policing is just a Band-Aid. If you don't fight the desperation that's been caused by decades of neglect and racist and classist policies, you will not minimize crime. You cannot make Baltimore thrive for everyone. But what you will do is continue repeating history. Finally, we need to implement participatory budgeting policies. Submit the budget to a citywide vote, and if it's voted down, it's back to the drawing board. This way we have the people's budget and not the system's budget. Thank you.
Behind Christine Flowers, Madeline Becker. And behind Madeline, we have Kim Trueheart.
Hello. Thank you, council members, for hosting this night to listen to your constituents. My name is Madeline Becker, and I'm a resident of Charles Village, and I run a video and film production company based in Carrollton Ridge. I'm a YouthWorks employer and a member of SURGE, which is Showing Up for Racial Justice. As a local branch of the SURGE National Network, Baltimore SURGE represents white people moving towards racial justice in partnership with grassroots people of color-led organizations. We have a mailing list of over 1,000 people and have meetings that sometimes exceed 200 attendees, so I am here on behalf of them. We urge you to reject the proposed budget for 2020 and create a totally new budget that focuses less on policing and more on solutions that address the root causes of crime. Spending over a quarter of the city budget on policing is unacceptable. We need to be making greater investments in education, housing, job training, and creation and community resources. As it stands, 44% of the budget is reserved for public safety, same amount as our property taxes. Last time I checked, I thought property taxes were meant for education. More police presence does not equal more safety. Spending more on police is a tough-on-crime approach that has resulted in increased distrust in police. Since Ronald Reagan first introduced his tough-on-crime politics, there has been a 500% increase over the last 40 decades of the number of people in prison. That's 2.2 million people. The ultimate result of this over-incarceration and over-policing, aside from decades of heartbreak, is a fiscal burden on our state and city, not a safer city. The recent BPD scandals, such as indictments of multiple members of the Gun Trace Task Force, corruption in the city jail, abuse of overtime pay, and extensive negative findings by the Federal Department of Justice, proves that the BPD is not using the funds they already have appropriately or legally. With a new commissioner in charge, we need to give time for reform and proper management of the department to take effect, while concurrently investing in more programs that work on solving the grief passed down from generation to generation in our city. We need to invest more in programs that focus on our kids, who deserve a fully funded school system, a functional transit system, police department, rec centers, housing, and real estate market, and everything everyone else here has said tonight. In this vacuum created by the transgressions of our mayor, we call on you to both listen and engage city residents more. Together, we can collectively develop a vision for our city, one with racial equity at its heart, and put into practice policies that propel that vision into action. Thank you.
Behind Christina, Kim Shore.
Welcome back, Mayor Jack. I'm going to talk without you. So, favor isn't fair in Baltimore City when we got 600 homeless people sleeping on these streets every night. So, when we learn to stop double dipping and flipping and recycling our homeless individuals, we could really have some serious conversation. So when I think about this $2.4 million that we want to put in homeless services, you know, I just couldn't help to think about $2 million in emergency sheltering when at this point in time, our individuals is in shelters for long, extended stays. Like it's not an opportunity for housing and some of the opportunities. I can think of so many things where $2.4 million can go at, and I guarantee you it can end homelessness in our city. So I want us to really look at that budget and how we can be more effective in partnering and working and collaborating with other smaller nonprofits in the city to really focus on homelessness and some of the resources. We have a House Bill 02 that has passed in legislation. Thank you very much. My first one, 22. But at the same time, that's a real important bill so that we can really get in and do the research and dialogue on why are we dealing with our homeless individuals in these shelters for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. That's not an emergency, it's like a jail sentence. So at this point, you know, I really thank all of you for listening and just really look at this opportunity that we all have been given here, you know, to really move our city in an area where we can really work effectively with a lot of these small organizations, talking about housing, talking about our youth, from homelessness to homicides. We have to do better in our city. We have to be the leaders that we are born and birthed to be. And we have to entrust you guys to allow us to do that. And then it'll make your job so much less easier because we were born for this. And you know, I was cut out for this ending homelessness. Shorty wasn't just popping up like this, he natural. So we look forward to working with you guys. We look forward to new beginnings, new initiatives. You know, favor not fair, but I want some favor around here. I want to help end homelessness. I want us to work together on this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim Trueheart, and behind Kim, Tyrone Burnwell with TGP. Tyrone Burnwell here?
Barnwell.
Brother
Barnwell, where are you?
Okay, moving on. And behind Kim, we'll have Destiny Watford with United Workers. Thank you.
Okay, I was born and raised in this city. And what has happened in the last week or so, I think could be good for this city. All right? Could be an exceptional opportunity. Jack Young, mayor. Wow. Look down the right end of the table. Fire some folks down that end of the table, okay? You can say it. You can repeat after me. you're fired, okay? Because the budget is definitely a profile that we don't like. The budget can be fixed. I'm looking at the 3 people in the Board of Estimates tomorrow morning who are gonna show us a profile in courage, right? Because there will be things on that budget that we don't like that you now have the ability to vote no on. And guess what? It has an impact, okay? With that power that you now have, controlling the Board of Estimates, right? Controlling the City Council. I want a Baltimore City Office of Children and Family Success stood up. We have never had a powerful office dedicated to our young people. Do it. You have the power, okay? Under that, I want a task force stood up on youth engagement that will be funded by taxing every agency 0.04% of their budget. I want an initial fund stood up for the task force for youth engagement of $1.2 million. Find it. Okay? That money will be used to engage young people this summer, right? They've been begging for year-round youth works. And I'm here to tell you that under Stephanie Rollins Blake administration, she authorized it. She actually put an extra billet in the Mayor's Office of Employment Development just for year-round work. Do your history checking, fact checking. This bull crap that goes on with this budget is unconscionable. The fact that this year we have $33 million surplus, I'm not done yet. A $33 million surplus, and y'all haven't even talked to us about it. Where's the table out there talking about the $33 million
Kim, we give everybody the
surplus?
same amount of time.
And I'm
You
taking
gotta-
more.
You gotta cut it.
$33 million.
De- Get back and let's wrap it up. Get back on the mic and I'll give you your last statement.
Okay, so
last statement,
there
please.
is a $33 million surplus that we have right now. This moment, I need 1.2 million of that for the task force on youth engagement. That should be stood up by the end of this month. There is no excuse now. You have the power. Make it happen.
Destiny Walker. And behind Destiny, we have John Gray of the Baltimore Algebra Project and No Boundaries Youth Organization.
Hi. Tonight, I'm going to talk about survival. We've heard a lot tonight about how we have an overwhelming amount of homelessness and vacants in our city. We've heard the need, the desperate need for zero waste in our neighborhoods. And tonight, I want to talk about survival because the decisions that we make here in Baltimore have a huge part on what happens to us in our future, what happens to our health. The top climate scientists are saying that we only have 12 years to fix our climate problem. That means 12 years to change the status quo. And okay, sorry, I just gotta, no, this is not acceptable, sorry. I don't think you're hearing me, so I'm gonna just, the mic, oh, the mic, that's fine. Please get in the mic.
Excuse,
No, that's fine.
excuse me. Excuse me. No one can hear you. That's why we want you to go to the mic.
Our ability as a human race to survive necessitates on our ability to make real changes in our government. And right now in our city, money, our public funds are going to fund something that puts our lives at risk, the Bresco incinerator. So what does this mean, right? Because the Bresco incinerator creates 1/3 of the air pollution in the city. Countless numbers of studies. An MIT study in 2014 found that the deaths related to air pollution in Baltimore City is higher than our homicide rate. A Chesapeake Bay Foundation study found that we spend $55 million every year in asthma hospitalizations because of the Bresco incinerator. So what steps do we take as a city, as citizens, to make sure that this cycle does not continue? It means taking the $10 million that we spend every year on Bresco, that the DPW spends every year to burn our trash at Bresco, and instead investing in putting our money towards public investment of alternatives like recycling and composting. Every day, I have the privilege of working with youth at Ben Franklin who see the consequences in our communities,
Wrap it up.
who understand,
Your time's up. Thank you.
and see the issues in our neighborhood, from walking blocks and blocks and seeing vacants to having the garden that they loved, that they built over a decade under threat of being destroyed by DPW.
Thank you. Calvin Scott of We the People.
So this
And
means
then,
that we have to take
we have Rhonda Wimbush,
real action towards
John Gray, and then Mr. Scott.
How we doing? All right, my name is John Gray. I'm with the Baltimore Algebra Project. We're a youth-led nonprofit, grassroots organization. It's something that we're working on right now. It's called a National Student Bill of Rights, and one of the rights, right number 9, specifically right to employment. If you have a paper, look at the second column, 4th row down. Right number 9 is the right to youth employment, right? Specifically, we want year-round youth works, right? We stand with CLEAR, we stand with Z Cohen's office, and we stand with the No Boundaries Youth Organization as well as the Algebra Project. And we're actually advocating for year-round youth works to help stop some of the problems we have in our community, right? We have over-policing of our young people, we have murdering of our young people, and we feel like a way to assess that is to take them off the streets and give them jobs, right? Currently, the city gets $3.2 billion. 52 million of that is given to MOVD, the Maryland Offices of Employment, Maryland Offices of Mayor's Office of Employment Development, right? They get 52 million. Our police force gets 530 million, right? That's a large disparity, and that shows where our values are, right? We want a shift in that. We want to better fund MOVD, and we want to mandate year-round youth works, make it a compulsory thing, give our young people jobs. We also want the implication of the National Student Bill of Rights on a local and national level, and that's for those of you who have it, we actually like if you could fill it out and give it back to us, right? And we want to usher in like this idea of not only youth employment but like youth empowerment, right? Kim Trueheart spoke on the youth engagement, right? And multiple young people came up and expressed their concerns in the city, right? We have a continuous climate. We have a climate here where our young people are unheard or they're heard but unaffected, right? Our young people are not decision makers, and that's what we want. We want an operating student council, and we want the mandate, and through that student council, we want the mandate of the National Student Bill of Rights. And with that, specifically right number 9, like I said, that's already been written up and passed or like approved in Z Cohen's office. We want the implementation, we want the ushering of youth employment through the implementation of year-round youth works. So I guess to the people, something we say at the Algebra Project is I say no education, no what?
Next we have Mr. Scott.
No education, no life. So,
Mr. Scott.
no education, no what? No education, no what? No education, no what?
No life.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Scott, thank you. And behind Mr. Scott, we have Rhonda Wimbush.
Hello. My name is Keith. I'm the president of We the People. If you notice, on the back of my shirt, on my back of my jacket is "Don't tread on us." I just want to say one thing: the budget do work. They know what they're doing in the budget, but the point is, it don't work for you. You're not mentioning this. I did this over and over and over again, and nothing ever changes because, simple fact, the philosophy is still the same. The philosophy is going to remain until it's changed. The budget is a done deal, pretty much. So what you need to do, I bet you it's gonna pass as is. I know for a fact. It's gonna pass as is. A change in philosophy and political philosophy have to be changed. You do not want these things to happen no more. So, get rid of the government. Elect 16 brand new people to the city council and the mayor. By doing that, all the deals that they did have before there for years would be done. You have a clean slate. These people do not work for you. How many times I've been doing this for years and nothing ever changes? They're not threatened their jobs, threaten their careers. They cannot be trusted. They've been doing this for years and they're gonna keep doing it for years. My time is up? Not yet. Okay, by electing 16 new people for the city council and the mayor, you are guaranteed change. 15? And the city council president and the mayor. Okay, we know what we need. Well, we need one anyway. The budget is working how they want to work it. The conditions have to be changed. Conditions was created. Conditions can be changed in your favor if you take the initiative to change the government that's doing this to you. Thank you very much.
Behind Rhonda, we have Sky. And behind Sky is Tyrone Boast or Bust.
I'm used to being short. Good evening, Rhonda Wimbish, advocate. I was going to talk about a lot, and the morale is so low in the city. The distrust is huge. The embarrassment is enormous. I want to yield my time to a senior citizen, Ms. Williams, who has an adult child with special needs. She can't get help from the city. It's no idea. I tried to talk to the health department outside. No one seems to know where people go for the agencies. You call the agencies, not here, no, call somebody else, no, call somebody else. This lady is here, these are real citizens. So Ms. Williams is here. She's very bashful, and you know, she has a story like everyone else, but she's 80-something years old, taking care of a special needs individual that's 50. I don't know if it's the Department of Aging that can help her, the health department. I'm gonna do what I can to help her with the governor's office to get residential independent living. But in the meantime, she needs help from our legislators. Ms. Williams, please just.
Good evening, everybody. Well, you know, I guess everybody's problems, they got some problems. They got some problems. But mine is this. I felt really let down. And I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing, but I'm going to say the truth. I went up to Elijah Cummings' office 7 times. I haven't even gotten a postcard. I mean, who cares? This is my child. He's not a child. He is a child really between the ages of 7 and 11, but he's over 50 years old. And I don't know where to turn, you know? And I know everybody hears me, and just like everybody else, you're all looking at me, you hear me. That's a shame. Well, if I think of something, you know, please think of something. I'm begging you. I can see the deterioration. I can see the deterioration, you know? He was in a day program, but it was in Georgia. And when all the family members left, died, I came up here to Maryland. And I do read a little bit. Maryland is by no means a poor state. Yeah, not poor. It ain't poor as Georgia. But in Georgia, they gave him, you want me to sit down? I'll sit down.
You still have.
In Georgia, they gave him PT. They gave him medicine. I sent the papers to do a spin down. They ain't never sent them back, and that was 6 months ago. The Department of Human Services, I think. Up here on Rice is somebody road. Ricestown Road. You know, I don't want to take up everybody's time. But, well, thanks.
Tyrone Bus, and there's someone named Sky. So Tyrone Bust and then Nikki Hill.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. I know everybody's tired, so I'm going to try to be brief and get to the point. My name is Tyrone Boast. I'm the president of HOMES. HOMES stands for Home Ownership, Opportunity, and Mentorship for Economic Success. And what we're trying to do is, I know everybody's seen all these vacant houses that they turn down at light speed, right? Well, we're trying to help mitigate or end the destruction of the remaining affordable housing stock in Baltimore City. Because according to the news, we're about to enter an affordable housing crisis in 2020. We're already there. We already know that the affordable housing stock has diminished in the city of Baltimore and other places while gentrification is running rampant. So what we have proposed to do is, instead of turning these houses down, we want to restore them. We want to sell them for $1 to the citizen, okay? And then we want to give, not just that, not just sell them for $1, we want to give the citizen a 1% interest renovation loan to restore that house. So let's say if it took $100,000 to restore that house, that 1% interest, you're talking about a $300 a month mortgage for essentially a new house. And that's very affordable, okay? And we want this program for working class citizens. Instead of simply tearing down houses, creating vacant lots that we call green spaces, and ejecting people from the city as fast as we can. So at the same time, we have that's the home ownership portion of it. We have the O, which is opportunity. At the same time, we want to provide opportunities in way of jobs and employment and training for our returning citizens and for our long-term unemployed. San Antonio Winchester has a near 52% unemployment rate for black males aged 16 to 64. And this is unconscionable. So we want to employ people at livable wages at the same time. And also, we want to give some of the contractors that are traditionally shut out of contracting opportunities and say, for whatever reason, the opportunity to have contracts in these jobs. You know, a lot of the smaller contractors that small minority contractors that don't normally get contracts, employ them as well. And the mentorship part, we want to mentor these youth and give them an outlet for their energies besides the narcotics trade, which is the main employer in Baltimore City and a lot of these impacted communities. The narcotics trade is the main employer in these impacted areas of the city. And that contributes to the murder rate, by the way. The murder rate isn't by magic, and it isn't because people are mad at each other. It's a cost of business of selling drugs, okay? Let's get that straight.
Finish up on your last statement.
Okay, so we're hoping that we have 30 contractors that want to do this, stand by ready to want to do this. Small contractors. Our goal is get a general contract, do a block at a time, and eventually do simultaneous, multiple blocks simultaneously. Our goal is to get a general contract in each house, a small general contract in each house, and restore that house to its original beauty, or better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nikki Hill.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nikki Hill. I am a parent, and I am a citizen of this great city. I live in Cherry Hill. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Baltimore Education Coalition. First of all, I would like to give thanks for the Bridge to Kerwin funding passed in 2017, which is helping to mitigate teacher and program losses at the school level. But there are still enormous needs citywide for our youth. Highlights in the city schools: we need more staff, we need resources, We need to be able to address these challenges. And we also would like to put more money toward youth fund works and youth works, things of this magnitude. It tends to give the kids something to do. It takes them off the street. It redirects their negative energy into something good and something positive. We need to prioritize the fundings, and they should be given to the community-based organizations and organizations that have a strong track record of effectively serving Black and brown students. Highlights for school facilities that are needed, such as my school, Cherry Hill. We have several schools that have been rebuilt, but there are about 100 schools that will continue to deteriorate and pose a health and safety problem if this current funding is persistent. What we're asking for right now is to continue all of the funds that have been placed up for us. Don't slide and put it back to something else when we so desperately need it for our IEP programs. All of the children, we have children that are living in lead-based homes within the city, right here, public housing, and they know they're putting us in the places that are like this and having us sign off on it. Personally speaking, and officially today, I am letting it be known. I am petitioning and I am asking every person that lives in public or HUD housing to sign a lawsuit against the city of Baltimore because we deserve better. Y'all making us sick. You're putting us in housing that has lead base. You know that you're putting us in housing that has lead base. Then you want to say you expect certain things from our children and from us as adults. You're creating an issue. It's an issue. It's a severe issue. Stand for something or keep falling for anything.
I would like to thank you all for coming out this evening. Your comments have been heard, and the members of the board appreciate you taking time to share your thoughts with this budget. The next steps for the budget process are as follows. The Bureau of Budget and Management Research will present the proposed ordinance of estimates for fiscal year 2020 to the Board of Estimates with any amendments or adjustments as needed. The proposed ordinance of estimates will be sent to the City Council for deliberation. Beginning in May, the City Council will hold hearings with city agencies on the proposed cuts and revenue proposals, the date and time for the City Council Taxpayers Night, and a specific list of hearing dates and times will be announced at an upcoming City Council meeting and posted on the City Council's website of www.baltimorecity.com. And we all thank you for attending tonight's meeting. Have a safe evening.